A good win to begin the playoffs for LAFC. Hello, everyone. This is LAFC Plus again. Welcome, episode 37. He is Mario Ruiz. Mario, how are you?
I'm feeling good, Dave. 37 of LAFC Plus. Man, we're going into it. These are the big games now. This is the playoffs. We've got to step up our game too, Dave.
Absolutely. I am Dave Denholm. This is LAFC Plus, and it is episode 37. Of course, we talk all things MLS. That's the plus. We focus on black and gold, and black and gold were focused in game one of the playoffs, Mario. This best of three. Vancouver Whitecaps are our opponent. They came in as the 8th seed in the West. They win the play-in game against Portland on the road they have to go to. And first things first, I got to say, I thought Vancouver played – I thought it was a good game. I thought both teams played well. LAFC get the win 2-1. It was deserved. You know, Vancouver gets the late goal to kind of make us sweat the last few seconds. What was that like for you? I know you were down on the sidelines getting ready to do an interview after the match. What did
after
that
the
feel
match
like?
when I was down there?
Yeah, explain when Mario, of course, the producer of the radio broadcast for LAFC, as I'm calling the games, you leave the booth. Yeah. Go through that if you know how that process works.
Yeah, so around the 80th minute or so, we kind of look at the pitch and kind of see, okay, who had an impact on the game, maybe who went the full 90, who maybe had a game-winning goal or whatever. So we pick a player to do the walk-off interview with. And then I rush down the elevator, go down into the tunnel. I meet up with Seth, Alonzo, Crystal, everybody from the LAFC PR staff, media staff, and the whistle blows. And then we go out onto the pitch and go straight for that player when we get a walk-off interview. And we'll play that later on. But what I noticed when the final whistle blew and after I talked to Aaron Long, who was the walk-off interview, it's kind of just standing there, just looking around at all the players, and they were happy. They were smiling. They were giving high fives. They were hugging. But there was no over, celebration. It was we got the job done. It's only game one, round one. We've been here before. We have the big picture in mind. We know the objective. That's what the feeling was after the match. And it didn't go on for too long. Sometimes when LAFC have a big win, it'll, go on for a long time on the field with the 32-52 and the fans and the kids are on the field. This one kind of wrapped up kind of quickly. So for me, I like that. I like that the players know there's more business to take care of.
Yeah, no, I agree. It felt like that, actually, because I did notice that. Obviously, I'm in the throes of starting the post-game show when we're at that moment. Sometimes I don't see everything going on like you do on the pitch and everything, but I noticed it did wrap up really quick. I mean, I looked down midway through the post-game show, and it was like, wait a minute, it's like a ghost town down there. It's so rare. Yeah. Usually it's a big celebration. So there wasn't a lot of massive celebration for LAFC because it is. You're right. It's just the first game of a possible 3-game series. Let's hope it wraps up coming up on this Sunday as we do this show, as we do this LAFC Plus. We've got obviously several days until game 2 in BC Place in Vancouver, but it was just a professional performance. Should have been 2-0. Yes, you give up the late goal, make it a little more harrowing, if you will, than it really should have been, of course. But that's not to say there wasn't good performances. I thought it was a really well-played match overall, Mario.
Yeah, and when the match ended, there were multiple options, I think, for man of the match for the black and gold. I really liked the way Matty Bogusz played that night. He was a big part of both of those goals. He got the assist and he should have got a goal if it wasn't for Tristan Blackman's handball in the box there. And then later on, Matty rocked the post on the crossbar when him and Carlos Vela was actually in the match. So when him and Carlos were standing at the ball for a free kick, Matty was like, I got this, Carlos. Let me take this. And he rocked the crossbar. So I really like the way Matty played. Kike was causing all kinds of trouble offensively, defensively. He's really getting into that role defensively as well that he's had to learn to do playing under Steve Cherundolo. And he buried that beautiful goal, of course, which was a team goal, beautiful team goal. He buried that one. Timothy Tillman was all over the place. Solid shift from him. And yeah, it was just a good team win, Dave. Solid.
I agree. For 94 minutes, the defense was really good.
Yeah.
Again, this is a playoffs. You're going to give up chances. Your keeper's going to have to make some saves. That's why they're there. These are good teams. You're not playing, the worst teams in the league or anything like that. Obviously, there's a reason teams are here. So, yeah, you're going to give up some chances, and the other team has to miss occasionally, too. And that happened. We saw that, Brian White missed a chance early. That could have changed everything. Could have changed the whole series in the 10th minute, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Gauld hits the post, and I heard some other, I was listening to other, people talk about this match on, not social media, but, on podcasts and stuff. Won't call them out because I love their stuff. I'm not criticizing, but they were kind of almost well, Vancouver really had their chances. They should have, maybe they could have won this match, or maybe they should, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the gist was, wow, Vancouver really, well, yeah, but LAFC hit the post a few times. Takaoka made a couple of good, that's what happens. That's why good teams bury their chances. And yes, you're going to need chances against, top quality opponents, and you're going to get some, but you got to bury them. And, LAFC deserved to win because of that, frankly. And they did.
And once they got out in front, Dave, in that first half, once LAFC did get out in front, and like you were saying, it could have been Vancouver that got out in front first, but LAFC did. But once they did, it's very difficult for Vancouver to take those necessary risks, right? To go for that equalizer, because LAFC is going to go, and try to kill their opponent with that counter attack. And that's whenever things get out of hand and LAFC start, racking up the goals, and it's a blowout. But that's why this upcoming game in Vancouver is going to be very, very important to see who scores first. Who scores first in that game, and if it is LAFC who score first in Vancouver, then Vancouver's going to have no choice at all just to open up and try to get a win somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you're right. The first goal is massive in a lot of playoff games, a lot of soccer matches, but in this series especially, I think you're right. Yeah, because when Vancouver has to open up, you're gonna get your chances again. You're gonna get good chances against them when they have to open up a little bit more. Not to say they're a bad team or anything like that. Let's listen to what the Kike goal score sound like. We'll talk more about this.
Giroux laying into the run of Hollingshead. Hollingshead outside of the area. Bogus top of the area, laying into the run of Oliveira. The 18th shot and in. Kike Oliveira buries it. It's 2-0, and they celebrate in front of the 32-52 with Kike giving all the love to Matty Bogus on a brilliant setup and play there by LAFC.
Yeah, it really was. And Kike acknowledging Matty Bogus. That was more of acknowledging all his teammates by pointing to Bogus, who laid off the last pass, which was incredible. The thing I loved about that one, Mario, is Matty Bogus is generally a guy who's not afraid to shoot, right? Of course. I mean, he's scoring goals for fun this year. He's really exploded. Yeah. He's kind of having his best season. And yet, if you watch that, if you ever get a chance to go back and watch the highlight of this, if you're listening to us, Bogus knows Oliveira's already making that run, right? He already saw it. He spotted that earlier in the play and doesn't for a second think about taking the shot. If you really watch the highlight, he's not even thinking about taking a shot, from which he's in a good spot. Mm-hmm. And usually he would fire that ball in, he would take that shot 99 times out of 100. But he already knows Oliveira's making that backdoor run, and he knows where the Vancouver defense is. They've all sucked in on him because normally, again, he's going to fire from there and have a pretty good track record of doing it. But so it's wide open. It looks like Vancouver was terrible defensively there. They really weren't. It's just that Bogus was unselfish and saw it before it happened. And so he turns, and there's not even a thought of him shooting that ball. He's passing that thing 100% all the time. And Oliveira knows it too. And he continues his run. And sometimes those plays don't work, right? A keeper makes a great save. Your first touch abandons you. The pass is a little off. But everything worked this time. And they did it to perfection. I mean, that was a perfect goal. Starting all the way back in the defense, really, with Hollingshead helping out, getting into the attack. Olivier Giroux laying it off. Denis with a pass, again, we always talk about how Denis is certainly not a guy who's afraid to pass either, which is amazing, frankly, for a goal scorer like that. Just a great team goal all the way around. It was brilliant.
That's one of those goals where the whole entire club is proud of, from the coaching staff to the players
fans,
to
yes, you're proud of
the
it.
Fans,
you're right.
Us in the booth, we're just like, wow, that was a thing of beauty right there. And Bogus, of course. I mean, he had a tremendous game. He deserved a goal in that game, I felt. But for him to make the right decision and just lay that off to Kike, definitely was the right choice. But one thing I'm noticing for LAFC as we're in these playoffs, the playoffs have begun. There's a lot of good teams right now that are in the MLS Cup playoffs right now, but there's 3 teams right now that are just sticking out for me just because they're on a level of their own. And that's for me, it's Inter Miami, Columbus, and LAFC. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of dangerous teams out there with a dangerous starting 11. But when you start getting into the second half and you start subbing in guys, sometimes the level of play drops off for other teams. For these 3 teams that I mentioned, these subs that are coming in can be starters on other teams. They're on another level. And so for LAFC to have guys, like Atuesta, Ilie, and David Martinez, Kamara, Carlos coming off the bench, these are things that separate contenders from champions sometimes.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a great point. It is a very good point. I think everybody on the bench for LAFC in that match will be a starter in another club. No question. I mean, like several, not just any other, not just like no disrespect to them, but teams that missed the playoffs or whatever, not just those things. It's so deep. And remember, we started the year wondering how that would transform. I think the MLS season is long. Moves are made. Things change. But we were wondering about the depth or how it would transpire and how it would be, go. And John Thornton filled those holes and then some as the season went on. And now we're like so deep, frankly. Jesus Murillo was back on the bench, available. Just if you're wondering about that,
that's
didn't
right.
Play in this match yet, but he is getting back to that point where he can possibly, get back to the pitch. So the depth is just incredible. They're playing well. Give credit to Vancouver, tough team, coming in a little bit off a high. Like they probably didn't expect to beat Portland 5-0. I'm sure they expected to win even on the road, but just an incredible performance for them in that Portland game. And they did a lot of good things in this match, Mario. It's a tough team, so they're not done. And I'm not saying this like, oh, this series is over. No, they could win the series still. They could. They're in it. And game 2 is going to be crucial, and it's going to be big. But to have that game 3 back in our back pocket segues to our next around the MLS topic here, Mario. And it's the argument you and I have had, try to convince people. And hopefully they watch and listen to LAFC Plus on their podcast streaming, whatever app you listen to, or here on YouTube TV. Subscribe, rate, review on all your podcasts. Give us a thumbs up, give us a good rating. Seeding matters. Where you finish matters. And we try to tell people the regular season in MLS for so long. Look, there's a lot of detractors from MLS, but one of their detractions is, the season doesn't matter. You don't have promotion and relegation. Right. Who cares where you finish? You just got to make the playoffs, and everybody makes the play. Seeding matters. As we do this podcast, there are still 2 games left to be played in the first, round 1 or first game of round 1. Not a home team is lost yet. Now, again, there's a couple games left in this. For home teams are perfect. One of them went to PKs, admittedly, so Seattle had to win in PKs, which they did. The home teams have not lost a game. It matters.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this for a long time on this podcast, on this LAFC Plus podcast. You and I, we've been saying this from the beginning, really, from episode 1, that you need to finish at the very, very top or as high as you can because you need that home field throughout the playoffs. And if you can get that in the MLS Cup final, it really, really does make a difference, especially in a final, because finals are different. And finals are different for a reason, because when you have that home field, that crowd really does play a part. And right now, in this first round, you really saw a Galaxy team that really slipped up on decision day. And they came out in this first game, round 1, and they came out to make a statement in that first game. And I think they really, really did. Obviously, they weren't happy with that stumble on Sydney. So 5 goals, against a depleted Colorado team, but still 5-0 is a pretty good statement there for the Galaxy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The Galaxy were impressive. There's no doubt. You can't say otherwise. Whether you love the Galaxy, hate the Galaxy, whatever. I mean, they were putting up an incredible performance. They got to go do it in the hills of the Denver area. They got to go run those hills and see how that goes. It is. Now, as you said, Colorado is very depleted. Mihailovic has the injury. They're not the team they had been. They've struggled down the stretch. It's a good matchup for LA Galaxy overall.
Yeah.
It's a good team to be playing in the first round. They
And
match
Puig,
up well
Dave,
with Colorado.
Ricky Puig is the type of player that, he's running just all over the pitch, getting
Yeah.
the ball from one side on the defense, sprinting all the way down, dribbling his opponent all the way into the offensive side. He's got tremendous energy, stamina to do that all game long.
Yeah.
But up in Colorado in the altitude, that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do. If he can do that, they can take care of business in 2 games. If not, they're going to have to
Still
come back.
haven't lost at Dignity Health Sports Park either.
Yeah, if not, they're going to come home and play in Carson for that 3rd game. But that's a do or die game for game 3
you don't want
if they don't get the job done in Colorado.
I don't want it for LAFC. Nobody wants to get that 3rd game. You win the first one, you want to close it out on the road, no doubt. Which is not easy. Colorado's a good home team. We talk about that advantage. And Mario's right. One of the things, though, that helps the Galaxy, I think, Mario, is the schedule overall is, you get past that game. Let's say you even lose that. You still got a week to recover, right? Roughly, several days. It's not like Sunday, Wednesday, right? So you do have enough rest time.
Yeah.
Let's say you beat the Rapids. Let's say you do win game 3, even if you've got plenty of rest then. So that mountainous, struggle isn't going to be a big factor physically other than in that match. Like, you don't want to go to Colorado in any knockout type game. If Galaxy had lost the first one somehow, look out, right? Because that's a knockout game in Colorado then in game 2. They have to win. You don't want to go to Colorado to visit the Rockies ever needing, like if you don't win, you're out kind of thing. So I think it sets up pretty well for the Galaxy that way.
And that's what I was saying in the last episode, Dave, as you get your microphone fixed there. That's what I was saying in the last episode, that Colorado's chance is right there in that first game. Colorado has to get that first game in Carson, because if they do that, then they can go back to Colorado and they have a good chance there in the altitude. Right. But, obviously that didn't happen. So we're talking about a whole different series now. I think it's all in the Galaxy's hands now. It's all in their favor. I think they will handle business. I think if not in this game 2, then in game 3 for sure.
Yeah, they were very professional, the Galaxy, no doubt. Let me talk about my unprofessionalism. I hit my mic cord and it actually mutes my mic when I do that for some reason. It's like the defense mechanism of the thing. That's where I finally learned that you can't even touch the cord. Otherwise, like, your mic freaks out. This mic I have, which is a great mic, by the way, but it's like a built-in defense mechanism. So it always turns me off. I was literally like, if you're watching on YouTube, you see me doing kind of an Italian man talking with my hands thing, smack the mic cord, and I'm still talking. Like, why is Mario not responding? Well, idiot. I'm such a moron, but yeah. So Galaxy take care of it professionally. So did Inter Miami. Let's chat a little bit about that match. I thought it was a very professional win over Atlanta. Look, Atlanta battled, and Brad Guzan stood on his head in that match, though, Mario.
Yeah.
And those are the things that people don't always see. They look at the final score, and they're like, wow, look, Atlanta, is tied up for a while. Oh, my gosh, Atlanta, they could beat Miami. Miami must be struggling, or it was a terrible game. They only won 2-1. Brad Guzan kept that from being an 8-1 game, and I'm not even joking about that.
Not only Guzan, though, the post, too. The crossbar and the post, they also helped out Guzan, too, because the first 30 minutes, Miami was rocking that post. They had numerous chances to put that game away. They couldn't find the back of the net, and credit to Guzan as well. But, yeah, Miami had plenty of chances.
But if you don't finish, okay, it's 2-1.
Yeah.
They were as dominant, almost, not quite. Inter Miami was almost as dominant over Atlanta as the Galaxy were over Colorado at 5-0.
So true. Yeah.
And that's taking nothing away from the Galaxy, by the way. That's just telling you that Inter Miami was just absolutely in control of that match. Mm-hmm. But that's the danger when you don't finish or a keeper stands on his head. You sneak into PKs and it can all go really wrong. That's why we were so sweating the last 60 seconds at BMO Stadium, even though we had controlled that match against Vancouver. They get that late goal, and then you're like, uh-oh, you can't make one more mistake. You got like a minute and a half. You just have to button up everything and don't make one more false step. Otherwise, they could have one more shot. And then if you get into, oh my gosh, can you imagine?
So true. It was a comfortable 2-0 lead throughout the entire game.
Yes.
A pretty dominant 2-0 lead for LAFC up until that goal that they got late. But who stuck out to me was Saba, because Saba's a gamer for Atlanta United, and he loves to play against Inter Miami. He has 4 goals against Inter Miami. That's huge for heading back to Atlanta.
Inter Miami, for crying out loud.
Let's see what he can do in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz. Let's see what he can do, because the atmosphere is going to be rocking. It's going to be crowded. It's going to be packed, sold out. But are they there to see Atlanta, or are they there to see Messi? So that's a big stadium where you can fit a lot of just like soccer fans that want to see Messi play. So that's kind of dangerous for Atlanta. Like, is it going to be their home crowd, or is it going to be a bunch of pink jerseys there for Messi?
I'll give Atlanta credit. Look, maybe their crowds have kind of struggled in relation to the size of their building this year or size of previous crowds, because they've stunk. I mean, they've had a bad year. They're a bad team, honestly. They're well below 500. They're a bad team right now. Sorry, that's just the facts. I mean, they sneak in.
They've lost a lot of key players there, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Look, they're rebuilding. They're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
We know the man who's running that club is well versed at what it takes. Garth Lagerwey will win. In the long run, they're going to be a dangerous team with that kind of financial resource and those fans. The fans have been frustrated, admittedly. So, you might see some Inter Miami fans in there, Mario. But it's also, look, you're going to see a lot of Atlanta United fans who also want to see Leo Messi. We talk about it all the time here. Why would
There's so many of those fans. There's so many of those fans around the world that root for their team and also root for the guy on the other team, Messi. That's so crazy. That's so unique that there's a player like that. Yeah.
We're all, like, first and foremost the fans of our team, right? No question. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to lie. If LAFC meets Inter Miami in the final, which would have to be in Miami, I want a 5-4 win with 4 Messi goals and LAFC winning 5-4. I'm fine with that. I want to see Messi be Messi for as long as I can. He's the best ever. And
unless you're a Ronaldo fan like me and my son, who don't really...
sorry.
There's a little bit of beef there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those.
By the way, that's so dumb, the beef that on social media between the Messi and Ronaldo fans.
It's so real. It's so real, Dave.
Seriously, I know. It is. It's real. But it's also like, just enjoy both of them. My gosh, they're like incredible. One of them had to be better than the other in the long run, and one of them is, and it's Messi. Sorry. But that doesn't mean, if you tell me Ronaldo's the best ever, what kind of argument can I? Okay, fine. He's one of the top 4 ever to play in my estimation, and they're all right there. So that's fine if you love Cristiano Ronaldo more than another player, whatever. But the point being that, yes, Atlanta fans want to go watch Atlanta win and extend their season and maybe even have a chance to, knock out Inter Miami. Why not? You get to a third game, you never know, right? But they also want to see Lionel Messi, and I don't blame anybody for that. And people get mad when Inter Miami fans show up in a certain city. Well, they paid for that right. You could have bought the ticket if you're, You could have maybe not sold your ticket. We see it in every sport now, in every city, first of all. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, as much as I sports hate that team, right below the Portland Timbers is the 2 worst sports franchises. I sports hate them with a passion. Their fans show up and buy tickets in other cities all the time, right? The Yankee fans, don't sell them your tickets if you don't want them in your stadium. Yeah, that's just the way it goes, right? So,
and you know who else paid for that is Inter Miami ownership as well, because they have the highest salary cap, right?
That's a good point.
I think it's doubled LAFC's salary cap, so they paid a lot to have this as well.
I mean, let's be honest though, Messi is higher than most salary. Messi's salary alone is actually higher than a lot of teams.
They went out and did it. They made it happen.
Yeah, and they deserve it. You're right. That's that's the only point to make. They deserve it. Whatever, that comes with that. The good and the bad in terms of you're going to be hated. That's fine. They deserve that too. You're going to be sports hated by, everybody gets mad when a team is good, right? We're going to start seeing that with the Dodgers more and more. You watch. I mean, maybe it hasn't quite happened yet because you still have, the Yankees are just historically but with winning comes that, no doubt. And that, we see it at LAFC. Who are we kidding? We get the best shot from every team. Every team's fans, we get their best shot. There's no doubt. In just a short time we've been around, that's just the way it is. And that's what isn't that what you're supposed to want if you're a fan of a club, right? You want your club to be so good that they're hated everywhere else. I mean,
if you're not hated, you're not doing it right.
What's the opposite of sports love? Indifference, exactly. The opposite of sports love is not sports hate; it's indifference. So,
yes,
you want people
Good point.
to love or hate you. FC Cincinnati, I'm kind of in a love-hate relationship with that team in terms of their performances. Not that I really care as a fan; I'm not a fan, but they get the win over NYCFC, Mario. But it just doesn't feel like FC Cincinnati to me is a real threat. You didn't mention them, as the real elite. Now, they could do it, of course. When you have Lucho and you've got the talent that they have, right? They could pull this off. But it doesn't feel like it to me. It was a good win, solid win to start their playoffs. And I'm not just talking about that match. But what do you see out of FC Cincinnati? Am I wrong about that? Are they really, kind of not quite there?
I think Cincinnati's a good team with an elite player. I mean, elite. Yeah. Lucho Acosta is elite. He cooks up the entire game. He's the engine, and the cross that he placed onto Assad's forehead. I mean, it was almost like he used Assad's forehead as a wall, because he just ricocheted that pass off his forehead and it went straight into the goal. Assad did not even have to move.
Do with it. Yeah,
he didn't have to move it. So he'd have to go forward. He had to jump. Nothing. It went right up his head like it was a wall into the goal. 1-0. That's all they needed. But yeah, I mean, you got to have that supporting cast. You also got to have a deep roster. You got to have a bench that can come in and do more. Lucho's there, but does he have players on his level around him? I don't think so. So that's the only issue there with Cincinnati. But a good team at home as well.
Yeah, and I'm not referencing Cincinnati's level. They could win it. Referencing like an NYCFC, though, that's what bothers me a little bit about Vancouver. And again, I'm not saying the series with LAFC is over. Vancouver is a good team. They could cause some problems. But it's almost like NYCFC gets more. As crazy as that sounds, I think, because they do have some talent. They get more out of their roster than other teams who maybe should be getting more. It feels like a Vancouver almost, you finished 8th. And I know the West is tough and, it's a long season. I get it and everything, but it's like, wow. I look at the two different types of teams, different games. I understand, but it just seems like NYCFC is getting about everything they can out of their team. And maybe they're just not good enough, right, at this point. But, yeah, some teams, you kind of just – and FC Cincinnati, certainly, I'm not talking about them. They're on a different level. But, like, a Vancouver or other teams, Portland even, we've talked about them so much. Like, you just feel like they should do more with it.
Yeah, Santi Rodriguez is a really good player. Maxi Morales is a good player. Alonso Martinez is a good player for NYCFC. All those guys, but only 6 shots in the entire game. 6 shots in the entire game. That's not going to do it for you in the playoffs. You expect more, especially in the playoffs, from these guys. And then dropping that game, the first game in Cincinnati, and then having to go home. But they lost Tavon Gray. He's straight red in the 99th minute of the game. That was terrible. It's a terrible call.
Get up, Lucho. But it's, come on. What are we doing?
And Lucho actually jumped into him, and Lucho actually fouled him, instigated that. And then they go and chase the 50-50 ball, and he gets hit in the face and he goes down.
I mean this with no malice. This is totally just my opinion.
Get it off your chest, Dave.
Lucho is a little smaller.
Yeah.
He put his arm out, right? Tavon Gray's putting his arm out at a level that frankly is most guys' chest. Yeah. It's a soccer move. He's not trying to hit Lucho Acosta in the face. It's a playoff game. Right? Referee, you got to think about these things. Now, if the rule is, you can't hit a guy in the face, is it fair that Lucho Acosta happens to be 5'4" or some 5'5"? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
is it a surprise to Gray, though? Is it a surprise to Gray that Lucho's that short?
That's his height. I'm sticking my arm out on this YouTube video, right? Like, he can't, get down, then he throws himself off and he loses his balance, and then Lucho dribbles around him. You're in a no-win spot. He's not trying to hit him in the face. It's ridiculous.
And Lucho knows he's been this size his whole life, so he knows if he's going after a ball that he could possibly get hit with a forearm, and he knows that too.
We gotta have some sensibility about this stuff. We don't want to see Lucho get hurt. He's not trying to hurt him, first of all, right? He's not trying to punch the guy. He doesn't want to get a red card in that situation. But we have to have some sensibility as referees or VAR, that garbage. What are you watching here? He wasn't punching him. I mean, the rule, they're going to fall back on the law of the game. It's the rule. It's all that. He's happens to be a little smaller. His head is right where a normal, just football play of holding a guy back. So is it fair if Lucho is 6 foot? That wouldn't even be a foul. Like, it's just ridiculous. Nope. It makes no sense. And again, I'm not trying to pick on Lucho Acosta. You're right. That's fine. He's not doing anything wrong. But let's have some common sense here. Like, it wasn't, maybe I'm just way off, and I know the laws of the game, and he hit him in the face and everything, but come on. Let's be realistic about that. That was not a red card. That changes everything, right? It changes the dynamics of the entire. And when people say, well, so what? I'm sorry. If I'm an LAFC fan, if I'm a Galaxy fan, if I'm Inter, I want FC Cincinnati out of the playoffs. Yeah, I'm rooting against them, right? They're way better than New York City. NYCFC is not a threat. They're not good. Cincinnati's good. But I don't want to see him get breaks like that. I especially don't want to see him have to, NYCFC losing a good defender for the next game. That's just, oh man, so frustrating.
Yeah, that's a tough one for a player that's been a big part of that defense. He was there whenever they went to the MLS Cup final in 2021. So he's been a staple on that back line. So I don't know, tough one. So they'll have to do it back home for game 2, but that's a tough one for them.
Yeah, that is going to be a tough one. And, look, Cincinnati's a better team. They're going to probably win anyway. I get all that. And they deserve to win the first game, and they have another one at home if they need it. So, yes, as we say.
My angle, though, for this is who's going to take out Columbus or Miami? Who has a chance? Who has the best chance on the East to take out one of those two teams?
Well, the problem is,
if one of those teams gets taken out, Miami or Columbus, then we can host the MLS Cup final at BMO Stadium. So
they both
is FC Cincinnati that team?
First of all, Mario, they both have to be taken out. And the problem is the only teams that really have a chance to take out Miami and Columbus in the East are Miami and Columbus. I mean, if I'm being honest, they're the only ones who can beat the other one, essentially, in my opinion. So it's unlikely that anybody else will stand up to those guys. So we need them to get knocked out, no doubt. I'm rooting for that because LAFC would, like Mario said, then host the MLS Cup. But the only problem is the only teams that could probably do it are each other. So
that's true.
We're really hopeful. Yeah. And so you're right. You would think I'd be more, you're right, Mario. You'd think I'd be more interested in Cincinnati winning, and I'd be more pumped up about the red card to Tavon Gray, but it's still just a tough call.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I don't know. And again, nobody's fault. It's not like Tavon Gray's not trying to get a red card. Lucho Acosta's not. It wasn't like some malicious acting or anything like that. That's just soccer. He got hit. He feels that he's going to go down. He's going to get the call. Fine. I mean, but I don't even think he probably expected him to get a red card. I don't even think Lucho thought it would go that well, frankly, but that's just the way it went with the referee and the VAR. Let's not go there. But fascinating start to these playoffs. I mean, if you're missing out, shame on you, right? You got a chances to watch these games. Apple TV was offering a lot for free for the playoffs. I mean, come on. Incredible stuff. I love the postseason. That's where, no disrespect to the Supporter Shield. That is a great trophy. Tremendous. I love me a playoff, Mario. This is fun stuff, man.
Yep. There was another red card day. There's been a few red cards here in the first game of round 1. Carrasquilla got a red card, which was not very responsible on his part. Throws a kick and a slap. Why would you do that in a playoff game? Straight red card.
We saw it against the United States when Panama was playing. I know it's a different competition and everything, but he lashed out at Christian Pulisic, gets a straight red. I mean, Coco, you got to keep your head about you, brother. You're too good for that. But it's becoming more of it's not that surprising, unfortunately. That's what happens when you start getting a little reputation for that stuff. And there were a couple bad red cards, though. You're right, in terms of you shouldn't be doing it. Right? Tavon Gray was kind of like, can't really fault him that bad for that, if I'm being honest. But these other ones, he can't be pulling that stuff in the playoffs and costing your team dearly, maybe the season, realistically. So anything on that Orlando Charlotte, it was, pretty confident. We were getting ready for
another red card there, Dave, as well. Pep Biel, the Spanish playmaker for Charlotte, he got a red card as well. He's going to miss game 2. They're already down a game. Orlando took them out 2-0. I know you've been speaking highly of this Orlando City team in past episodes of LAFC Plus. You still seeing the same thing from Orlando here in game 1?
Yes, I am. I do feel that they're really good. They're not. They're not Columbus, Inter, Miami.
Right.
Good. They're just not.
Right.
I mean, they will not. They won't beat those teams in my estimation. I mean, again, it could be a major upset. Yes, those things do happen in sports. I'm not sitting here telling you these things are automatic, of course. Although, if you do listen to Scott Kaplan and DeMarco Farr on their show the other day, Travis and DeMarco, right? Isn't it Travis? Yeah,
Travis and DeMarco, yeah.
Mario and I were on a local LA sports talk show that many of you are familiar with, of course, on 710 ESPN in Los Angeles. And one of the hosts here, somebody mentioned that the Dodgers were going to sweep the Yankees because the Dodgers are that much better than the Yankees. I don't know who, Mario. It might have been you. I don't know. But one of us.
Somebody who's very smart. Yes. Very smart person.
Mentioned that the Yankees could not compete with the Dodgers top to bottom.
Hey, you know your baseball, Dave. That's for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, you know your baseball. Might have been you. I don't remember exactly who said it. It's not over yet, though. It's a 3-0 Dodger lead as we do this recording. But I feel pretty good about it. I feel pretty good about that. And I know what I'm talking about when it comes to MLS, too. I've been there since day one. We know
you've been on a roll, Dave. You've been on a roll. You called that 6-2 win for Miami the other day as well. You doing baseball. Man, your picks are spot on.
I mean, you got to go with it. You got to brag a little bit when you're hot because it don't last, frankly. I just don't. I think Inter or Orlando's a very good team, again. But when it comes down to just beating one of the best, they're not quite there defensively. They have a good defensive team. Make no mistake, you're going to look at the record and go, well, wait a minute. They're one of the best defensive teams. Not against the best. They're not going to be able to hold up when it comes to.
They did have a dominant win, though. Their first game was a dominant win against Charlotte. That's 2-0, and they were never in danger. Good win for Orlando. Charlotte is not as good as in Orlando. That's a bad matchup for them. They will. I think they'll lose at home, frankly, although that's a tough place to go. I think Charlotte, very good defensive team, still haven't found themselves figuring out their offense, I think, enough, and I don't think they're going to score against a good Orlando team. I really, they could be shut out again. Wouldn't surprise me. Now, if they can get a 0-0, Christian Kalina is an incredible goalkeeper. Maybe they can, squeak out a win at home some way, and again, who knows? I'm gonna mark the tape. Charlotte could be shut out at home. Let's see if you're right on this one. Be shut out at home. Let's see. Oh man, that'll be interesting. It is. It is interesting. I mean, one of the things you think you can't do in sports is predict MLS games. Normally, you'd be right, but the playoffs, Mario. Again, we talk about these home fields and the difference. I mean, there's a lot of chalk. A lot of home teams win in the playoffs. Two good teams going at it. It matters where you play a lot of times. Now we'll see how that holds up in the second games of these best of threes. But fascinating stuff so far, man. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. And with LAFC going to Vancouver, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances here. That turf plays pretty well, according to the players. They're not too mad at that turf. So, and somebody who plays well against Vancouver is Denis Bouanga. But I'm just want to say that Vancouver, it's not your fault. It's not you. Denis does it to everybody else as well, all the other teams around the league. But against Vancouver, I mean, he's bagged 8 goals and 7 assists in just 9 games played against Vancouver, including 4 goals in 3 MLS Cup playoff matches. So Denis on fire against Vancouver. Good luck to Vancouver in game 2. But if LAFC can handle business there, man, we have a lot of time off if LAFC can take advantage there, right, Dave? A lot of these teams, I mean, it's for everybody who won the first match. If you win the second one, you're talking weeks now to kind of cool down and really recover and really get ready for that final push of the playoffs. Because, we do have that international break coming up, and MLS does not play through that, obviously, in the playoffs. You don't want to do that. So if you can get that win, get a 2-game sweep, you really have a lot of time to, just get 100%, get right physically, because at this time of year, I'm sure no one is 100%. I don't care what anyone says. Everybody's banged up on some level. So it would be nice. LAFC at Vancouver coming up this Sunday, November 3rd, pregame 5 p.m. Pacific on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app. Do we know if that's on Sirius XM, this particular one? I'm not sure. That will be, yes, that will be. But I believe what Sirius XM does is they take the home radio team's broadcast. So they would take the Vancouver. Yeah, so when we're at home, they like to take our home broadcast. Gotcha. But LAFC at Vancouver Sunday, you can hear me,
with Mario and I on the call, 7:10 ESPN and the ESPN LA app, 5 p.m. pregame, a little longer pregame kickoff, a little closer to 6 p.m. Pacific for that one.
So for those that don't know, of course, 710 ESPN is the home of LAFC, and there's a lot of games going on. There's a lot of teams there as well. You know, there's USC, there's Lakers, there's Rams, there's so many, there's Kings now as well, and LAFC, all the big teams in LA. And so sometimes if the game is not on 710, just go to the ESPN LA app. Go to the ESPN LA app. It's crystal clear digital quality. It sounds very, very good, and you can just carry it with your phone. You can plug it in the car. It's very good. So just there's a channel there that says LAFC play by play, and just click on that channel. It's just one touch. Boom, hit it. The game is on. So I suggest you guys do that if you haven't done so yet.
Yeah, I'm a tech moron, right? I am. I'm bad with technology. It's easy enough for me to use. I don't say that lightly. It's so easy. You download the app, you hit a button, and it's like
it's true.
Incredible, Mario. I mean, and I am a moron when it comes to tech stuff. There's no doubt about it. And it's even me proof. It's so easy to use. So I promise you won't have any trouble with it. It's a great app, no doubt about it. So and we will join, I think, on 710, as you said, I think in progress somewhere once one of the other events is over. I think there's another game going on. So Rams, a Rams football game, post game, all that stuff. So after that as well, we'll be back on 710 ESPN if that's your only way to follow along. We'll be joined in progress there. But again, the ESPN LA app, 5 p.m. Pacific, LAFC at Vancouver Sunday. Mario, look forward to it, buddy. Always look forward to this. Episode 37 in the books, LAFC Plus. Why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to game 2 of this first round, Dave. And we got, our close eye is on Houston and Seattle, right? Because LAFC are awaiting the winner of that if LAFC go through, which is something we're all hoping for. And we're all confident that LAFC can do that. But yeah, keeping a close eye on Seattle and Houston, because that'll be a semifinal match that LAFC will look forward to and all the LAFC fans will look forward to. But yeah, let's get it going. Black and gold. Let's go. Game 2. This has been LAFC Plus episode 37. Catch you guys next time.